Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Montemurno. I'm the Princess Anne District Kernel. This is Popcorn 101 training. Everybody online, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Unclear, sir.
it's nodding.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
We can hear you. Amy.
So before I go any further, just want everybody in the room to know that this is being recorded. I was told to put that out there, and I'm going to do that. So Popcorn 101. So I know I see some seasoned, no pun intended, faces in the room, but this training. So look, I don't have a lot of bling on my uniform. Right? I didn't grow up in Scouts as a kid. So my oldest right now is 14, and we brought him up through first grade, and I just remember as an inexperienced parent, there were so many moving parts to scouting as a whole. And I remember the learning process of Popcorn and what it was about and how it works, and just looking back on the beginning years, realizing just how screwed up we did it, right? So anyway, we came up with this one-on-one training as a taking the basic our annual seasonal training and just taking it one step down, right, and giving you guys some fundamental knowledge about what it is and how it works and things like that. So for the online people as well as those here in the room, if you have any questions while I'm talking, and please, any questions about anything, right? Don't hesitate to ask. I was always told there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? And there isn't. So please ask. Okay, you might think it's stupid, but if you have a question, ask. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So these are the objectives of our training tonight. We're going to talk about why do we sell, right? That's the big reason. Why are we all here? And then understanding the budget and the budget's role in popcorn sales. So one of the things I really think is awesome is, I don't know what the flavor is of positions online, but the roster here has treasurers and committee chairs and just a whole plethora of different positions. And that's great because it's not just about the popcorn kernel, right? And in this case with budgets, it's the committee, it's the treasurer, it's the popcorn kernel, it's the figuring out the plan. Because as a parent, right, and I'm talking about parents of the kids that just drop the kids off and don't really get involved, which you don't like, that's a whole nother story. But those parents hopefully want to know what their kids going to be doing in the unit and where their money's going and things like that. So that's where the budget comes in. So we're talking about popcorn arrival, when it gets here, what happens. And then the big question for the new kernels is, how much do I get? How much popcorn am I supposed to pick up? And we'll talk about that and give you guys some ideas. And then what the kernels have to do, how to inform the families, and what some of the good information you can put out to the families. And you're going to do that through your popcorn kickoff and a taste testing event. Credit cards. So we will talk about credit cards. Credit cards, they're becoming more commonplace now. When this training first started, in the year prior to that, as a learning experience, it was all about the Square. Now there's Venmo and Square and Zelle, and there's all different kinds of ways you can get credit cards, right? You're going to lose some of your money, but you're going to gain a lot of sales. So you have to have some sort of credit app when you go out there selling popcorn. And then some of the tools that are available, there's apps. We have a Facebook page. We'll talk about that. And then unit incentives. So when the kids sell popcorn, the council gives prizes out, right? And that's going to come on the popcorn form. And for those that have done it or have seen it in the past, you might know what I'm talking about. If you're brand new to popcorn, it'll all make sense by the end of the training. But what can the unit do, your pack or your troop, to incentivize, right? So the first council prize is $50 worth of popcorn, and then the next one's $400. You guys can have something at the unit at $250 of sales, right? You can go to the dollar store, get a grab bag, and we'll talk more about that. But what can the unit do to incentivize sales for your scouts and make it fun? And really, that's the bottom line, right? Is make it fun. I tell you, when popcorn season hits, there's a switch flips in me, and I just go into kernel mode. But it's all about having fun and making this a fun process. So if you're not having fun doing this, come see me and we'll see what we can do for you. And we'll talk about personal sales, what that's all about, and then we'll talk about how to do show and sells, and then the importance of communication within the popcorn chain of command. Okay, and you guys, it starts at the unit kernel level. Then at the district level, that's me for Princess Anne, Council Kernel, that's
I
Pam.
had to do this for your popcorn.
Popcorn Staff Advisor, I love that title. Okay, so why do we do it, right? The bottom line is we want to raise money. This is our main fundraising event for our program, or yearly program, okay? Tidewater's got one of the highest commissions in the nation, okay? We are 40%, 40% cost of that popcorn goes directly back to the youth, right? And we're trying to keep it there. I talked about prizes a little bit. The scouts, the incentive for the scouts is they can get prizes as they sell popcorn. The Pecatonica is our company that we use, Pecatonica River Popcorn. So they'll have an ID number. We'll talk more about that. But that's how the Kernels put in for their prizes. And then the scouts, they learn salesmanship and they learn how to earn their own way. So for the scout, especially at the cub level, this is really important. This is going to build a foundation for these kids. It's really, I kind of skipped over that, but at the very bottom there, building a foundation to solicit for your Eagle project, right? So I don't want to say the ultimate goal of scouting is to become an Eagle, but in the end, it's just to have fun. But at that Eagle level, these are foundational skills that they're going to build upon for that final project. But scouts build camaraderie. Okay, at the troop level, most of the time it's just one kid with his parent. But at the cub level, when you're out doing a show and sell in front of Lowe's or something like that, you always want to have two parents with two kids. And the reason you want that is because for an hour, one kid's going to need to go to the bathroom, right? And so you want to have one parent. And normally it's the parent for that kid, right? So we got to always have to maintain that 2D leadership. But typically it's a parent with their own kids. So, we're all good with that. And then scouts learn how to communicate, right? They're just like, Kate did when you guys walked in the room, right? They're communicating with people. Okay. These are some of I know you probably can't read that, but just as an example. So these are the advancement merit badge elective requirements in scouts, and they all relate to popcorn. So as an example, for the wolves, right? Howling at the Moon. It says pick one of the 4 forms of communication and create a popcorn skit. Blue the Builder, select and build one useful and one fun project for your popcorn sale. For photography, for a merit badge, take photographs of popcorn, scout selling popcorn and other activities related to sale. Then arrange the prints with captions to tell the story of the sale. So the popcorn goes back to some of the requirements that the kids need to do to move up the rank. Okay. Any questions so far?
Will we get a copy of this?
This will be available online. Yeah.
There is a revised version that'll be in the popcorn guidebook because a couple of those Cub Scout belt loops have been discontinued as of the end of this month.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, so let's talk about the budget. Now, we're not going to get into budget building. Okay, I would love to do that, but not here, not now. If you want to talk about budget specifically afterwards, we can do that. But again, I just want to talk about the importance of it and how it relates to popcorn. So it's going to cover the activities for the year for that unit. Okay, so the council gets together and says, these are all the things that we're going to do. We're going to do these 5 different things. This is how much each one of these things costs. It also includes the administrative fees, right? The registration fees for the scouts, times how many scouts you have in the unit, and you're going to end up with this big list of costs for the year. Okay. And then all we're going to do is simple math. We're going to divide that cost by the number of scouts and divide that number by that 40%, and that's how much each scout has to sell in popcorn. Okay, so it's a starting number to get a goal for the scouts, right? Because they all have to support that, and that can cover things like, hey, we don't have a cooler, we need a table. Whatever the unit needs to run for that year, you can put all that stuff and get factored into that budget, and it can all get supported by popcorn. Okay. And like I said earlier, the parents, if the smart parents want to know where the money goes, so you want to keep this stuff transparent and make sure that that you're tracking where your money goes, because it's the parents' money that they're putting into the unit. All right. And there are so many ways to form a budget. I've heard of different ways to do it. I personally like the tier method. I did this at the pack level where, because not everybody's going to sell, $2,000 worth of popcorn. Some people are going to sell. Some people are going to say, "What's the bare minimum? What is the bare minimum I need to sell to get my kid from one rank to the next?" Right. So you want to have tiers. So there's a unit, or if a kid sells $350 worth of popcorn, this is what they get for $350 a sale, or for $500 a sale, however your committee wants to break it down. Okay, but it's always good to have those tiers, because if you only say, "Hey, everybody's going to sell this amount," if we don't get to that amount, well, then what happens? Right. So again, it's just a transparency of where your money goes based on what you sell. And that last thing there, like I said earlier, the popcorn kernel and the treasurer really have to have a good relationship. Okay, because not just because they're both handling money, but just so that each understands what the other's doing. Okay. Okay. Any questions on the budget? I know it's just a quick thing. If you're still, okay, so I see the faces, and we have more questions, but let's put it in and we'll talk about that, okay? You guys good with that? Okay. So right now, August starts our season. Usually it's the first, Thursday or Friday in August when we get our popcorn. So this year it's going to be August 4th. The way we run our popcorn sales, and when you guys go to the popcorn training, you'll learn more about this, but we order a couple weeks prior to that. So you're going to submit your order mid-July. Okay, it's going to come here in August, and it's going to come on a tractor trailer. Okay, and this thing is packed with pallets of popcorn, and this room is filled with boxes of popcorn. Okay, so we need volunteers to help unload it. Okay, so if you do come and help unload, and we'll put more information out as time gets closer, but you can grab your stuff and go right there when it's all loaded. Okay. And then we'll get some other supplies delivered on June 30th. That's going to be prior to the training. It's on July 5th and July 12th. That's the popcorn training for all the popcorn kernels. Okay, so you're going to go to this, and you're going to go to the other one too. And some of that other supplies that you'll get the popcorn sign. It's like the big white, well, depending on what it is for the year, but we've got these big white signs, and we had this banner last year that the popcorn company gave us. You'll get a taste testing kit. It's going to be a box of most of the flavors. You're not going to have all of them in there, but they're going to be bagged up. And so again, you're going to take that and you're going to do your popcorn kickoff party, and you're going to have a tasting kit, so you can make it fun. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Can I mention something real quick?
Sure.
July 5th and 12th, that training is in addition to this. This is the groundwork stuff you need to know. The 5th and the 12th will go over the specifics of that training, how it's changed from last year, new prizes, new products that you definitely want to go to. So please sign up for that.
Yeah, that's going to be for all kernels, right? This is just really for the new ones. But everybody goes to the 5th and 12th.
You have to do both of the trainings in July?
No, just one.
Just one of them.
Yeah, just 2 different.
Yeah.
Did we get did I get the last thing? I think I got everything,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Oh, and then there were some envelopes with that too. So you're gonna get your money envelopes. Each one of your kids is gonna get money envelopes and your order forms, and you're gonna get a unit money envelope if you want to use it. Okay. So here's the meat and potatoes, right? How much do I get? So the first thing so if I'm a kernel, right, the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look at what I sold last year. And it's not up here. I didn't put the contents of what we're going to do this year, but we're going to have 4 orders. Okay, the first one's going to be mid-July. I think the next one's mid-August. I don't know specifically. I don't remember specifically, but there's going to be 4 total. So when you get your first order, look, start early. The sales in August they're big, right? That's the highest, the best sales you're going to have in the beginning of the season. Okay, so you can order a little heavy on the front end. Okay, there's ways to get rid of that popcorn if you don't sell it, and we'll talk about it. I'm always getting ahead of myself, right? We're going to talk about everything.
You keep them going. Keep
Yeah.
them interested.
Yes, we're going to walk out.
Oh, wait, there's more.
So the first thing is look at what you sold last year to get it. We're a little bit heavy up front. Okay, And the second thing you want to do is based on whatever plan you have. So what do I mean by your plan? Okay, well, you want to start talking to your parents now about where you're going to sell, right? Who's going to take order forms to work? You got, I mean, I hate to use the word season again, but you got guys like Matt here that sold consistently well over the course of the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. But they have a plan, right? So hit your big sellers from last year, right? They're going to probably do the same thing. They're going to walk the same neighborhoods. They're going to have the same show and sells. They're going to take order forms to work. Whatever the case is, people know how to do this that have done it before. So you want to get with them and have a plan, because you need to order your popcorn. In the first order is going to be in early or mid-July. Okay, so you need to have a plan set up before then. So again, what show and sells you have scheduled? What parents walk the neighborhood with their scout, take it to work, etc. Any questions on plan or what you sold last year? And if you don't have, if you're starting off, you and I are gonna have a little talk at the end here. It looks like you're gonna.
I'm just smiling at everything you're saying.
If you don't have it,
So am I, Tony. You just can't.
I can't. If you have absolutely no clue, right, then we'll talk. We'll talk. Okay, we'll talk. We'll get you set up.
I just want to reiterate what Tony said. Order big, your first one. We didn't last year, and we're big sellers. We didn't last year, and we were big borrowing and stealing and calling in favors to get popcorn to get us through August.
Yeah.
The numbers that we hit in August, we weren't expecting those numbers because of COVID. People missed us. I mean, the numbers were crazy good. You've got, depending on how long your sale goes for your unit, you've got months to sell that off. You can trade with other units, and once again, he will go into that. But you've got time on your side. The first order should be your big order, because you'll be surprised how much you really sell. Okay?
I think we sold 18,000 August last year.
Oh my gosh.
And how many kids?
All of them.
How big is your
We
unit?
had
Big unit.
in August, I think we had 60 kids in the pack, 50 something to 60, and probably at least half of them are selling them.
So basically all your kids could hit winner's circle in the first month.
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So the reason I asked how many kids, because it's a big number, and if you have,
Right.
like me, you got 13 kids in the troop, you're not going to hit that number. So don't try.
You okay?
Okay. So like I said, you'll make 40. We get 40% goes to the unit. That means 60% you have to pay the council. Okay. So when you get this big influx, you get this popcorn, you have to be able to pay for it, right? We don't want the money up front, but you got 30 days to pay. And then Tony comes. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make sure I understand that, because that was one of my questions. So our like the troop profit is still 40%.
Yes.
We pay out of that 100, we pay back the 62. Okay.
Yes, that's going to be your bill when you get the money. And so look, to keep it real simple, remember, we're having fun, right?
I
don't want you to.
used to be the treasurer, so I'm about numbers.
Yeah. So that's another thing, because most of the time the treasurer is going to pay, right? The treasurer needs to understand this, right? You got 30 days because the council has to pay, right? There's not a popcorn fund in the council. The council has to pay for this, which means they have to get the money from the units. Okay, so all we're doing is we're backing each other up with this whole process. Okay, so in case you don't sell it all, right? That's why it's a good idea. You don't have to have funding in your account. And again, some units starting out with nothing. You got nothing. It's fine. You'll survive. We'll make it happen. And this gets back to the communication. I'm going to talk more about communication in a little bit too. But if you have the money in the bank account, you can pay for it and you're done, right? Again, you don't have to pay it up front, right? If you sell half of it, you can pay the other half of what you got in the bank. That's all I'm saying. Okay, remember, we're always having fun. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to sell at that first order. So we talked about ordering heavy, and again, 4 orders in total. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, don't speak. Online popcorn sales.
Yes.
Is 30%.
30%.
Correct. Okay.
The online, we'll talk about online in a minute too. Online, you don't have to worry about the bill because the bill will get paid by through the process. You don't even worry about it. You'll see your money at the end of the season. Okay. Okay, so continuing on with this, how much should I get? So if you don't know, we have a $10 classic caramel. Okay, because it's $10, it's a very easy seller. It sells big. So if you're gonna order popcorn and you have no clue, you're gonna get something, you're gonna get all flavors, first of all, but you're gonna get a crap loaded classic caramel. Okay. Just as an example, I know we talked about 60 scouts. My unit sold of 13 scouts. Out of the 2,116 cans we sold last year, 177 of those were classic caramel. That was my biggest seller. And that's probably the same for everybody. Okay. I didn't do the percent. You can do it in your head. Feel free. The caramel with sea salt is another favorite. It's another big seller. Right now, was my second highest, and that was 85 of that 2,116. And I say that because those are the two flavors that people buy, and those are the ones that you want to have. I mean, you want to have, like I said, you want to have them all, but don't be afraid to go over with those. Again, you want to pick up all the flavors and at least one of each of the top 3 non-returnables. So what are the top 3 non-returnables? So that's the chocolate lovers. That's the big one. It used to be $50. The cheese lover was the $40 can, and then the $30 was the trio. Okay, they're non-returnable, which means once you take them, they're yours. Right? Everything else you can bring back to the council, but those you can't. Okay. However, the cheese and the trio are going to be, again, this is the second year we're doing this. We're going to keep them for a limited time. We're going to allow you to return them to the council. Okay, up until 21st of September. So for my unit, again, with the 13 kids in 2020 and 2021 respectively, the chocolate lovers, we sold 6 in 2020, 12 in 2021. Cheese lovers, we sold 12 and 20 in those 2 years, and then the trios 10 and 15. So you will sell them. Okay, so pick some up. And if you want a good number, take however many units or scouts you have and do my math, right? If it's 1 per scout almost, do the same. And that's for the entire season. So divide it into 4, and then you'll have your how many you should pick up at each order. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So you said it's not refundable, but then you said you can return it.
Very small window.
They are, so they've always been non-returnable.
Yes.
Right. In other words, when you pick up your chocolate lover cheese and trio, you pick it up, they're yours. You can't bring them back ever. You got to sell them or give them to another or transfer them to another unit. Okay. And they've always been known as the top 3 in the non-returnables. However, those 2,
So not the chocolate, the cheese. And
just the cheese and the trio will be returnable up until September 21st.
Can I comment on that?
Right.
Everybody was being very conservative about that because they didn't want to be stuck with it. We realized that people weren't really selling enough on the front end, but the demand was there. That's why we're doing the limited time with the September date.
Okay.
So once again, and by doing the September date, last year we had 3 trios returned to us. And then within 10 minutes, somebody sparked those up. So they're selling, everybody's scared to get them. So we're allowing you the opportunity for a little flexibility on that. So, okay.
I got a question real quick.
Sure.
What did you say the 6/12, 12/20?
This was for my unit. So in 2020 and 2020, it was hard to write that so you could understand it. In 2020, we sold 6 chocolate lovers. In 2021, we sold 12.
Oh, okay.
You with me?
Same amount of scouts.
Same amount of scouts. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Makes sense. Sorry, I was trying my best to put the example out there and make it understandable. I played with that line a couple times.
Can I ask a question that's not a little off topic? And
Sure.
that is, when you go out and do your sales, especially like August, it's still hot. Are you guys taking your chocolate pretzels out with you?
Yes, and that's the next line.
We have a big white cooler that we.
Yep.
Okay.
Put 'em in a cooler.
Okay, that was my question. I was like concerned about
Yep, that's the
taking that
next thing.
stuff out there in August when it says keeping your garage in your house.
So so the one before the last line there, do not let the meltables melt, right? That's your chocolate, your pretzels, your peanut butter cup, all your chocolate, coated stuff, including the mint. Wait, what? So we have a new flavor this year, chocolate mint, and we are the only council in the nation that's getting it.
Wow.
We're the guinea pigs.
Yeah, so look, we have a really good relationship with this popcorn company, and those two right there,
Yeah.
wheeling and dealing,
So we're the only council in the nation.
yes.
Mhm.
We're sort of a test platform. to see
Yeah,
how
the
it
owner
sells.
said he was gonna make it for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
You
So-
requested it?
I will put that out.
The mint, and I will tell you,
Man, we were eating the sample. The
look,
sample went like in 3 seconds.
I'll tell you
Tony
that-
was like, give me that.
yeah, we had a sample, right?
It's gone now.
I had high, look, I'm gonna tell you this. We had cherry cheesecake a couple of years ago, right? It's an acquired taste.
Mhm.
The first time I took the mint, I said, somebody's gonna say it tastes like toothpaste. But I thought it was good.
You like
It's
the
mint-
toothpaste?
mint, I like toothpaste.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
Tony, can I share 2 questions with you from the chat? One is the deadlines for ordering, which you may or may not know off the top of your head. So we're gonna go into more detail on dates and timelines during the general popcorn training.
Mhm.
But just keep it in mind that first order is gonna be due by July 20th. So mid-July is when you'll need that first order in. That first order is expected to arrive on August 4th here. If you help unload, you get the popcorn on August 4th. If you do not help unload, you get it on either August 5th or 6th, and we'll do signups for those times. The second question that Tony can address is, what does the council do with popcorn that is returned?
so what do we do?
Sell it.
So,
So if the unit returns it to the council, what does the council do?
were you gonna say something? Oh, okay, so what does the council do? So if popcorn gets returned during the sale, it will just come back here, it'll sit here, and it will get issued out to another unit that needs it, right? If they run out prior to that second or third order. At the very end of the season, when we bring back the final load, right, we bring it back in here, we take all the military donations that people have gotten, and we basically take the popcorn that equates to that monetary value of military donations, and we give that to the USO. And then if there's anything after that, that goes to charities and things like that.
Right, the council cannot return any popcorn.
Yeah, so I think that's coming. So the last thing I'll tell you about is we do what we call the shake test. So when you return popcorn, and this is about the meltables not melting. So if you've ever taken imagine a can of chocolate coated pretzels that have been sitting out in the sun, right? If I put that in a cool place, I'm gonna hear a thunk, right? Because the thing's just one big mound of melted mess. So if you bring back popcorn, it's a chocolate flavor, we're gonna shake it.
Mhm.
If we can't hear the popcorn and the pretzels rattling around in a can, you're gonna keep that. And if you have pretzels that you can't, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to
Rudy, are you out there?
take them off.
He's
your
on
hands.
Zoom,
It's-
yeah.
Rudy like.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd, but if unfortunately somebody had a house fire, is the popcorn covered by the scouts or by the homeowner insurance?
That's a good question.
And what would happen with microwave?
I was gonna say.
Check out that house.
I believe it would be homeowners insurance. I don't know the answer, and I will check on that for you.
Okay.
And Rudy says, yes, he is here on
Yes,
Zoom. He
awesome.
heard you.
All right. Okay.
All right, any questions so far, with anything we talked about? Okay, so let's talk about your kickoff party. Okay, so you want to plan for you want to have a plan for your season before you do a kickoff party. Okay, again, starting early is the key to success because the sales in the beginning of the season are really, really good. So have your selling strategy in place prior to your meeting. So you want to have some idea what you're going to do because you want to put this stuff out to your parents. Right? You're going to hand out the popcorn order forms. You're going to hand out the money envelopes and things like that to the kids. So you just want to give them let them know what your plan is. You also want to solicit your parents way before this, and because sometimes, like we did a sale a couple of years ago when I was with the PAC at a movie theater. One of the parents knew somebody that worked in a theater and they told us, you can sell popcorn. You would think, how can you sell popcorn in front of the theater, right? But they said you can only sell unpopped popcorn. So that's what we did. Yeah. That's what we're recording. So that's what we did it and it worked and we made money. But again, talk to your parents. Hey, does anybody have any place we can go? Right? If you work in, if somebody owns a business in a strip mall or knows somebody or has an uncle or an aunt or somebody that has a store, that's what it's all about. It's about networking with who you have in your unit and trying to get some places to sell. We have some other places as well. The council, we are taking care of the Lowe's this year. So we will be issuing out Lowe's locations too. So based on what district you're in, is who you're going to go to get that information.
Are there any other places that you guys handle, like grocery stores or stuff like that, or do we just reach out?
So there are certain businesses that are that they want it. You got to go through corporate. Some businesses the council handles. Look, I can tell you Wawa's one of them. Home Depot will let you sell. I'm not going to stop you. You can go to any store. You can just walk in and you can ask. And we're going to talk about show and sells a little later on. But you can just talk to the manager and say, hey, I'm with the Scouts. And if you wear a uniform, it's always good. You know, you look professional and look like you know what you're talking about, I guess. But you can always ask. It's you're never going to get a yes if you don't ask. So feel free to ask. But yeah, food lines are kind of iffy and Kroger's. But again, sometimes if you know people, and I've heard of kids selling in front of Home Depots. It's all about who people know and who works there. So it doesn't hurt to try and ask. So if you have a large unit, you can make a popcorn crew. You can have a colonel, a treasurer. You can have a show and sell crew. You can have somebody that delivers popcorn, do it from the site. However you want to set it up, it's up to you guys how you want to do that. You can have an inventory crew. If you have a big, you have 60 kids. I mean, I got 13 kids in my house. My wife kills me. My dining room is full of popcorn boxes. I can just imagine stocking up for 60 kids. Right? I only have 13, so you can spread the wealth amongst certain parents. Everybody can be involved with this. So you're going to do your taste testing. Okay, this is supposed to be a fun event for the kids, right? So what we did was sometimes we did it in my house. We had a rocket rally one time where we met at a little park and I gathered the parents up and we discussed the plan while a couple other parents were letting the kids shoot off rockets and then at the very end we wrapped it up with a taste test. Okay. So,
We had ours at a park. We rented a bounce house, a water slide bounce house. It was about $250 plus I think a $30 or $40 tip on top of that, and a couple cans of popcorn. But we did that, basically turned it into a picnic, and the bounce house and all that was a huge hit, and actually recruited 3 families.
nice. So that's a good example right there. And going back to the budget, that $250 cost, that all gets factored into the budget when you guys are making your plan for the year. I don't say you guys like you're all going to do it, but for those that are involved with that, that's some of the things that you want to budget in. Or what I do, and I've done it every year, it's a working document. I have a lessons learned. When we do something for the year, if it's a bad thing, or if you have a good idea during the season, make yourself a document in your computer or your phone, whatever you use, and just jot a note down. Because by the end of the season, you're not going to remember everything. Okay, so as you go, feel free to write stuff down. How to do things better. So let's see. Okay, use the popcorn guide as your reference. So the popcorn guide is not out yet, but every season Allison will put it out to everybody. It's going to give you, all the do's and don'ts and the who's who of popcorn for that season. So what I did with mine was when I got it, I read through it, I highlighted the things I wanted to discuss with the parents, and then it makes me smarter as a colonel, and then I get the right information out to the parents. So at the Cub level, that discuss what Scouts should say to the customer. This is where we get back to the fundamentals we talked about in the beginning about the Scouts communicating with people and so on and so forth. But this is where you're building a foundation, right? And so the Cubs need to understand that they're gonna get a lot of no's. Depending on how, some kids, I mean, if they're really cute, they'll come home with a bunch of money, right? But they're gonna get no's, but they have to still say, thank you, have a nice day. You know, so make sure that they understand that stuff.
I can't tell you, I gotta say this stuff. I can't tell you how many times a kid will be all sad and the person will walk away, sorry, I can't do that. They go out in the parking lot and the scout says, you know, thank you very much, you know, have a good day. And they turn back around and they make a donation or something like that. So politeness goes very far away, you know, always good skill to learn, right?
Yep. And then it's the other thing too, on the flip side of that, when they're told no, like my son is bigger than me, he's 14, and we stood at BJ's and anyone wants popcorn, you know, it's different when the kid's this big and he wasn't selling it, he was just getting, I could just see it, he was just getting so frustrated. So, you know, we got to kind of pump them up too when they're feeling down like that. But I'm telling you, but when he does start selling, that it turns, I mean, on a dime. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you're gonna cover this later, but are there specific rules on what the scout must wear for the popcorn?
I don't know that there's anything. Pam just looked like she's nodding her head. I would
I go
recommend.
class A. I go,
I'm not asking your preference.
Mhm.
What is the rule?
There's no set rule. I think the more professional that the kids are, the younger age, the more impressed with the people are, and that goes far too.
I
If
was just kind of thinking of like the older boys in their class Bs and the younger boys, excuse me, older scouts in class Bs and younger scouts in their class As to kind of share that transition of like, look at these man-child that we wind up raising, you know.
I don't think, so I would say there's no street clothes. I know that that's one thing. Is there any set rule on that?
There's not a rule. They are encouraged to wear Class A because you know, it's the Boy Scout brand. So people can see who they are and what they're supporting. If your kids don't want to wear their Class A's, but they're willing to sell, I wouldn't discourage them. But I would say maybe a Class B, like a troop t-shirt would be a good choice.
The Lions, obviously, they've got their little t-shirts. They don't have the Class A yet, so. But you know, look the part. That's what I say. And if some of the kids can't, you know, afford something like that yet, just get them out there in a generic BSA or something like that, you know.
Rudy on the chat said from his experience, scouts who wear their Class A, even the older scouts, sell better than the kids who wear their Class B. And some of the older scouts will have Eagle Scouts stop by and ask them to recite the oath and law. Be prepared for that one as well.
If you haven't done this, if you haven't done a show and sell, you're gonna get, you know, 20-year-olds that are Eagle Scouts. They'll just give you money. You get all kinds, but yeah, the uniform definitely sells. It's lets them know who you are. And just FYI for the troops that have girls, be prepared for I thought the Girl Scouts sell cookies.
Yeah.
You know, just let your girls know up front that people are gonna think you're a Girl Scout, not a Girl Scout.
Tony, another.
Or Cub Scouts.
Both. Yeah.
We haven't had that problem with Cubs, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I would bet it would happen more because it's the color of the uniform probably.
My daughter was asked at the commissary sale, what, thought you guys sold cookies? She's like, I do those in January. She's involved, but they will directly to the girl, not the parent or an adult involved. They will ask the girl, why aren't you in Girl Scouts?
Are there any kinds of stores that scouts should not sell in front of? From the chat.
Go, Tony.
No, so look, here's, you know, tobacco, there's nothing written, right? But tobacco, you know, I mean, think about a kid and does a kid go in that store and frequent it, right? If he doesn't, then probably not a good idea to sell it from. That's all. Because, you know, you think about it like this, if people can think that the scouts are associated with that particular organization, right? I'm not saying for smokers and vapors, you know, do what you want to do, but probably not the best idea to sell in front of a store like that. Use discretion. you
I
know,
would say if a kid can't go in the store and buy something themselves, they probably shouldn't.
probably shouldn't, absolutely. That's the way I look at it, yeah.
And, you know, so we've all heard the story about the Girl Scouts who sold outside of the pot store and stuff like that and sold like hundreds of dollars. Okay. I look at it from a safety standpoint, you know, once you're outside of a bar and somebody's had too many things, you don't know what kind of issue you're gonna end up when you've got children there. I would just keep that in mind.
Now, I will tell you, so for those that don't know, there's an event up at Pipsco called Guns and Grilling. Right, and scouts go up there and they shoot BB guns and they shoot 22s and shotguns and assault rifles, tomahawks and slingshots, bow and arrow. So could you go in front of a gun range? You know,
We do.
yeah, so we do too, right? Because again, the scouts do it at an organized scouting event.
I'm glad you had that question.
Anything else online there, Allison?
No.
Okay. All right, so we're talking about what the scouts should say to the customers. Again, this is something that the scouts need to know as well as the parents, because you're not going to be with the parents. The parents are going to be out there with their own kids, typically at the cub level and at the troop level as well. Remember, good recommendation, 2 cubs together. And then at the troop level, if it's just one, that's fine. Discuss the use of show and sell tracker and a credit card app. So I will show you this the tracker here in a second. The credit card app. So if you've never used it, people don't know how to use it, and the first time they want to use it is not when they're getting a credit card handed to them, right? So you want to make sure they understand how to use that credit card app. So if it's a totally new thing for all of you, you know, understand the credit card app, you get it, figure it out, and work with your parents on how to use it.
Is that something for you guys, or is that something that the packing?
You got to get it yourself. Yeah. I've used Square before. I've used Zettel. We have a Zettel. I like the Zettel. But people will say Zettel can take Venmo, because somebody said Venmo. What's Venmo? You know, but you got to underutilize your app, because there's different ways that you can pay with a certain app. It doesn't have to be with a credit card. Okay, so just understand the app that you're going to use, whatever you're going to use, whatever tool.
And I'll just say this, so do not put it under your own individual name. Have it under your chartering organization that they get that for you guys.
We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then this is I don't want to say it's important, but this is different units do it different ways. So will the scouts get credit for their shift, or do all scouts split the day? What do I mean by that? That means let's keep it at the cub level, right? So you have 2 scouts per shift, and you start at 9 and you end at 5. Well, the 9 to 10 or the 9 to 11, however you want to set it up, is not going to get as big a sale as the 11 to 1 or 11 to 3 or something like that. Right? So nobody wants to take the 9 to 10 slot when they get smart enough to figure out that it doesn't sell very well. So how do you want to set it up, right? Just have the plan in place. We do it by the hour that they work. Other units do it. We take the total sales throughout the day. We divide it by how many kids and how many hours they did, and that's how we divvy it up. And that's more fair across the board. So again, I'm sort of leaning that way myself the more I think about it. But anyway,
What is a typical like shift look like at
About 2
Lowe's?
hours.
How long?
About 2 hours.
Yeah, it depends on how many hours you're there. That's how we do ours. We just do like, so if you're there for 6 hours, you can do 3 2-hour shifts, or you can divide it up any number way you want.
Cub
Depends
Scouts
on
are
when
pushing it at 2 hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
2
would
hours
do
for
more than
cubs and
that,
stuff. Yeah.
hour and a half.
And then 6 hours, is that a normal like? booth
I'm just,
setup?
I don't,
You kind of, once you start doing it, you realize like within 6 hours, you're finished. They're like, no one, you're not gonna have no sale.
Okay,
You find the threshold.
I think that it depends on your unit. It depends on your parents that are involved. Sometimes, you know, I've gone all the way from 9 o'clock to 8 or 9 o'clock at night at a Lowe's. You know, we've had parents fill up those slots, and I think it's just going to be one of those things you gauge as you go along. And you can always reach out to the district colonel for any advice on how they would do it as well. You know,
But
if you're just starting this out, I would start your first couple at 6 hours, you do like from 9 to 2. Well, I guess that's 5, but something like that, I mean,
Okay.
and try the first one and see how it goes, and see how the scouts do, how your popcorn sales go, it's just, and then see, you know, and the location, right, I mean, some locations are busy all day long, some locations have that pocket from 9 to 1, and then the afternoon, especially in August, that heat comes on, and some stores just don't get traffic.
Yeah, and then somebody, somebody else say, hey, we had great sales at this store, and then you go there, and then your sales are very good. And, we're doing wrong.
And we do ours in shifts, but then if a scout wants to sell for the whole time, they can pick up 2 shifts. Like if that may be an only Saturday or Sunday they have to sell and they want to do the whole time, they can, but they don't have to.
Yeah, so then you gotta figure out, set up, and how you wanna set up your schedule, whether a Google Doc or however you wanna do it, and, you know, and then let parents take an hour first before, you know, one parent takes all the, you know, the prime hours, you know, you wanna make sure that it's spread out, you know, everybody gets a chance to.
Sign Up Genius is really good for
Yeah,
that
that's
too.
what we've
That's
always
what-
done.
Yeah, and it
So-
alerts you too, it can alert your popcorn kernel, wherever it is, on when somebody's bowed out and you need to find somebody back in, I find it very good.
And we're gonna do Sign Up Genius for the Lowe's. So we'll keep putting it up.
On the chat, Rudy just wanted to reiterate what you said about credit card and third-party payment processors. Make sure you're aware of the tax rules. If you use your personal Square account and charge over a certain threshold, you're gonna get a 990. So you don't want that coming in your
Yeah,
name.
1099K. What we're gonna, and that's in the slide.
I'm
We're
sorry,
gonna get there.
1099, yep.
990 works too though.
Okay, so, so something else for the parents, right? You want to be able to track out what you're giving to your families. Okay, so, you know, I'm a 30-year retired Navy guy, and our slogan was always trust but verify. Okay, so I'm not telling you to not trust your parents, but I always like my parents to have product in hand. Some just take the kids walk the neighborhood with and they take the order form, then they come back and they get the product. I'd rather, hey, have it in your hand right there. It's you're probably going to sell it a little bit better. So your parents have to have, you know, product, and they're not going to give you the money for it, right? But you got to have a way to track what they took from you. I used to do it with a text. I would say, okay, you're taking, you know, you can your treasurer has a receipt book, right? You can borrow a receipt book and write receipts for people of what they took. Okay, but you want to be able to track what you're giving them because they owe you that money and they need to understand, like I said before, well, actually it's right there, 30 days to sell or return it. Okay, and please understand when we say return, that doesn't mean we send it back to Pecatonica, right? It all comes back here. Once we get the popcorn from them, it is ours as a council. Okay, so if they're not sold, they're a loss. And we talked about what happens to them, they get given out at the end. Okay. And we can also transfer them to other councils at the very end, I think, if there's that. And encourage your parents to maintain neat record. Oh, yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering if anybody here has used Google Forms as their tracking mechanism.
It's like Excel, right?
No, I mean, it comes out, it turns into an Excel. Like, it comes, but it's okay.
I have an Excel document that I use, and there's an example of it in here.
Well, I was
Everybody
thinking
has.
with the Google form, you can do them as drop-down items, you can put it out as a link, and then you could have the parent order through the Google form, and then each time they're ordering, you've got a line item that turns into a Google
We don't have to pay
spreadsheet.
for it? for the Google form? Or do they have to pay for it?
No,
Yeah, so there's all kinds of
Savvy
tools out
enough to
there.
use it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy if you
Yeah.
are used to it all the time.
well, you can get your kids to do it, they're on Google form. I was just wondering if anybody had experience.
Okay, so maintain neat records. The reason I say that is because at the very end, if you hit the winner circle prizes, and that's the $2,500 and above, you have to submit a copy of your order form. Basically, you got to prove that you sold that amount of popcorn. I don't know who looks at it, but that's just a requirement, and that is in the popcorn guide that I talked about a little bit earlier.
Is that new?
That's always been there. That's what it says. I'm just telling you what the popcorn guide says. Yeah, it says for the winner circle prize, you're supposed to submit a copy of the record. And parents need to know the deadlines for the orders, and they need to submit their orders to you before you submit your order. That makes sense? So you can tell your parents, hey, I'm gonna submit an order in July. If you have anybody that you know, some parents, like I said, they go to the same people, they have their customer base. Just get a hold of them, because if somebody says, hey, I need, a case of classic caramel, and you only ordered 2, well, there's 1 case that's already gone. So know what your solicit from your parents before you submit your order. Make sure that you know what they want.
So when are we gonna get the orders?
That'll come out in, what did it say, June?
June 30th, we pick up the trainings on the 5th of the 12th.
Okay, so we're gonna have them at the popcorn training. That's the plan right now.
Okay, we good?
One more thing. So the very last one, do not tap into your show and sell stock to satisfy your take orders unless necessary. So a take order being, for those that don't know, it's, hey, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna go walk the neighborhood, right? If you plan for a show and sell, if you already have set up, right, and then your parent says, hey, I need, 8 classic caramels, don't take from your show and sell stock. Okay, that parent can wait, unless, you can case by case basis, but for the most part, they can wait. That's why you want to have their order. You want to know what they're selling prior to you placing your order to begin with. But don't take from that show and sell stock, because if you do, then you're not going to have it when you need it, and you can't get it again. Once it's gone, it's gone. So usually the parent can wait until after the show and sell. And then you can also, and we'll talk about some other tools like our Facebook page that you can ask for to borrow or trade. Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
Okay, so this may be one of those dumb questions, because I'm not usually on the selling. So you said like June 5th or June 12th, they get the order forms and the popcorn,
July, yeah.
or I'm sorry, July, the money. So that first order is not until July 20th.
So
From the troop. So are scouts, like, I guess, is there a date scouts are allowed to start selling, or can they go ahead and start selling from the 12th to the 20th and say, hey, like, our families already want this? Like,
there's nothing that's can stop them from telling. They can when they get their stuff, if they want to go out and start
so we
soliciting
can have
orders,
like a first week blitz to say like, okay, see who you can get in contact
they
with.
want to
this
walk your
person.
neighborhood and not have the product in hand, and sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, they can do
I
that.
would just recommend, if they do that, to let their customers know not to expect it until August.
Okay.
Because sometimes if you go out on July 12th and take an order, they might think you're coming back, the next
the
day, the
next
next week.
Yeah,
But as long as you are clear on expectations with the customers, there's no problem in taking orders before you have the product in hand.
And to just mention, as far as the, getting ready, for the sale, when we have the 5th and the 12th trainings, you have 1 week to get your order in, okay? So you'll have all those other tools behind you, and you've got that much time to talk to your parents and see how much your goal is, and that kind of thing. So you do have, we made sure that the trainings were further up, in, ahead of the order. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay, so this is some of the stuff that we had talked about, and Rudy was hit personally with this as well as me. So you have to utilize the tax information from your charter organization. Okay, do not put your own name and social security number, because what the IRS is going to say is, oh, you have a small business, and here's your 1099K that says you made a profit. Okay. So make sure it's all linked to the charter organization's bank account. For more information about that, when this gets online, that link will take you to that document there. And then just FYI, the BSA doesn't endorse any particular credit card organization credit processing vendor. So some things to think about with the credit card apps is people have different phones, and I know a lot of it's Bluetooth now. Again, this thing was written 2 years ago, but we have Apple phones and Android phones and whatever. So make sure that everybody's phone will work with the kit that you get when you get your credit card app. With most of them, they will allow you to put your the credit card information in manually. If all else fails, they will take a little bit extra of a fee. But like I said, regardless of the credit card fees, they're very small compared to the amount of sales you're going to get with a credit card tool.
What percentage do you sell credit card? Would you say?
I never looked at that. I don't think I've ever looked at that, but I will tell you that we got so many credit card sales that we didn't have enough cash in hand to pay our bill. Right? So it's gotta be more than 40%, right, or 50%.
When we get a lot of sales at show and sells, because they'll say, oh, I don't have any cash, so our boys are quick to say, oh, well, we have a square right here.
Yeah.
If you have a card, we have a square, and
And that's a good point. That's one of the things that when you're talking about telling your kids what to say, it's not just about being polite, but it's that same thing. And I'm telling you, when a little kid say that to somebody and they walk past, they don't have any cash, the kid's like, well, we take credit cards. They can't help but laugh and say, okay. And they buy
You
something.
got me, yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'd say half of our sales at the bake shop for credit card.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. I think we had to use our, all the money goes into a pot anyway, but we used cash from donations and cash from sales. And I think our credit was even more than that.
It's a little bit of effort to go ahead and get this all set up, but after it's said and done, you make so much more money, you know.
On the chat, one unit said that they were 60-40 credit card and another one said they were 70% credit
I
card.
was gonna say it was up that
So
high.
you got, if you don't have one, you gotta get one.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, the company will take their cut, and it's minor compared to what you sell, your intake. I personally, this is just my thing, right? I don't know if everybody does this, but I always verify my transactions. Okay, it's part of that trust but verify thing. I always bounce because you want to make sure your inventory is right. So I recommend you do that. So, I have some late nights, on the weekends, and it is what it is, but I enjoy it. And then there's more info on the Pecatonica website, I think, about credit card. Yes, sir, in the back.
I would recommend that you have a budget line item for credit card fees. When you do your budget, just plan on credit card fees rather than trying to take them out against the scout that sold it or whatever. Just have a line item for. I think we had a line item for $300. I don't know if we met that or went over that. I don't know. I've got a treasurer who knows, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, again, and for those that are starting out from ground zero, just, pick a number, $100, $200, whatever you want to do. It's you're putting it in your budget and you spread that $200 across, 10 or 12, however many kids. It's not that big of a difference, but it's money in, money out. Okay.
With the apps, I'd like to add
That's
that
right.
we actually lost on a lot of show and sells based on like not having enough apps. So like if you're just not starting off, make sure you get Cash App, Zelle, everything Square. Just because you'll see like the age difference of people walking by. Younger kids are all gonna have Cash App. Square is pretty much gonna be the older crowd.
Yeah.
So don't limit yourself on what apps you use. Just sign up for everything. So that way you're not turning anybody down.
So is Cash App used more than Venmo?
For a younger generation, yeah. It's become big because they even pay their bills with it now.
Yeah.
So all their money's pretty much electronically through that now.
All right, so boomers are squares.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
will
really what
say
it is.
that though, we have like non-boomers that use squares.
Thank you.
Yes, fine,
I'm not a boomer, but doesn't.
It's good to
So
know.
use
So that kind of information,
Yeah,
we're gonna talk more about, again, our popcorn Facebook, it's right here. The first thing, sign up on the Tidewater Council Popcorn Kernel Facebook group. That's a mouthful, right? But that's a good place for.
Everybody
share.
write that down.
Yeah.
No kidding. That is the best
Join, yeah.
communication
Yeah.
right there.
Join it today.
The very first one, to sign up on the, I don't know why that,
Oh, Pam's thing here.
It's me.
it's called the Tidewater Council Popcorn Kernel Facebook group.
And that's exchanging show and sell locations, or hey, I need caramel with sea salt, or
Mhm.
hey, I have too much caramel with sea
Yeah.
salt, who needs it? And exchange it that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a great tool. Remember when I said when you order heavy in the beginning, you're gonna have ways to get rid of that popcorn? You can't sell it. That's your main place right there.
Yeah.
And we did it a couple times last year, so much easier and quicker than having to come back up to council, turn it in.
Yep.
Because you can just swap it, call council, and they can call and say, hey, council, we just took 100 from so-and-so and we're transferred over to us.
So you'll send an email, you get that council kernels, or that unit kernels email. You email each other, you CC Allison, you say, hey, we transferred, Carmel sea salt from 123 to 321, and Allison makes it all happen. And it doesn't count against you in any kind of way, right? So,
Tony, what would you suggest a unit do if their chartering organization does not want them to use their EIN for a credit card app?
they're gonna take
They
that.
can still Venmo and Zelle and all those things, right?
Well, the problem is all those electronic apps are linked to the account. So I think that one of your commissioners needs to probably get involved with that, I would guess.
Okay, so so if you have that issue, contact your district executive and they can help talk to the chartering organization and the commissioners and see what they can do to help you out.
That's what they're supposed to do, from my understanding. I mean, the bank account, the charter organization. So keep the district and the council informed of any excess inventory. Again, we're talking about communications and some of the tools. So communication is key, right? So if you have, let's say you don't have any money in your bank account and you got a show and sell plan, but you didn't, your 30 days is coming up when you're supposed to pay your bill, and just let somebody know, hey, look, we got a show and sell here, I got all this product, try to unload it, and you give me till this time, we'll work with you, okay? And by we, I mean Allison. But again, if when we don't hear from you and you owe money, that becomes a problem. So don't, and remember, we're gonna have 4 orders throughout the season. If you have a excess popcorn because you didn't sell it, don't order a whole lot more. It's a continuous process, right? You're gonna set up your plan for the following month, and then you're gonna figure out what you got left and so on and so forth. So don't order more if you have enough surplus for your planned sales. And again, you want to unload it, you can unload it through Popcorn Girl Facebook group. And you can return it. We'll talk about returns here in a minute. Your kernel tracker, that's Pecatonica had that. They had it the year before last. It was good, but it didn't track your funding. Last year, it didn't work very well. So hopefully I think there was talk about them working on that.
They said that they are doing updates on it. We don't know yet what those updates entail.
But you can have your own, you can build your own. Excel's a great doc. Excel's a good program to use if you know how to use Excel. It can do a lot of things for you. And there's also a lot of things out there already that people are using. So network and beg, borrow, and steal. So at the end of our show and sells, and I know we're talking a lot about show and sells. What I always do is I get all the paperwork at the end of the sale. I verify everything was done right, and the credit cards are there, and so on and so forth. And then I send an email out to all my parents, and I tell them, this is what your kid got. This is the amount of credit that your kid got. And again, this is going back to, do I give credit for the hour that they sold and what they sold, or do I take the whole day, add it together, divide it by the number of scouts, and divvy it out that way? And the reason you want to do this is because your parents are, if they're involved, they're keeping track of their kids' sales because the kid wants to get prizes. And the way you get the prizes is by adding up all the sales. And show and sells add to that, but the parent doesn't manage that. Okay, so you have to take care of that as and I say as the kernels. I know there's a lot of different people in here, not just the kernels. So I always send it out to them. I tell them what the kid got, and I split it up between sales and donations. And I tell them, make a line item on your card, your order form. It's show and sell August 5th, and this is the amount that you put in the block. And again, documentation of the sales are supposed to be required for the winter circuit prizes. Okay, next.
Doesn't want to do it. I think you're done. Just kidding. Why is it not doing it? There we go.
Okay, so we don't. I should have brought an order form. Well, most of you've probably seen the order form from last year. You have the council incentives and the incentives from Pecatonica. But unit incentives, okay, these are what does the unit do to help encourage sales in between the $50 prize and the $400 prize, or between the 400 and the 750, or the 750 and the next one. So you can use the tier method. Again, I don't really consider that a unit incentive. I think that's just where the money should go for the kids, but you can summer camp and things like that. You can, but yeah, again, everything goes into your planning budget, right? You can budget for unit prizes for certain goals, like again, the 200, 600,000, whatever. And it depending on the kids and their age, you can do a grab bag. You know, one of the things that we did was we were starting out at the very beginning, and we went to the dollar store and we bought packs of pencils and just stuff at the dollar store. You can also go to some of the kids, you know, they didn't like reaching and grabbing out a box of colored pencils, but you know, whatever. You can go to the like Five Below, you know, depending on the age of the kids.
Amazon will sell you lots of stuff.
Yeah. So
I'm giving away 1,000 million popcorn shaped pencil erasers every year. They're so cute. I mean, they're more than $1, but you get a package of 8 of them or something, and popcorn topper.
Yeah. So for the grab bag, the idea was in one of these classes, right? Where somebody said, just get a trash bag and put all the stuff in there and make it a black. You know, they can't see it, a black bag or something, and they have to reach in their hands. So it's sort of a mystery. You know what they're going to get. They feel around, they pull something out. You can do a pizza party if the unit makes its goal. Pies in the face were something that I learned at one of these, not the 101 training, but the regular. But at the end of the season, and it is a blast. I haven't done it at the troop level, but I'm telling you, I don't think it would be a problem. But you know, all the kids that sell X amount get to pie somebody in the face, and the kids absolutely love it. So it's a great way to give some incentive. And then of course, unit t-shirts and hoodies, if you have them, you can give those out as well.
And we can also share some more stories at the other training, because you'll be with some other popcorn kernels that have done it for years and kind of get some good ideas from them at that.
That's where, like I said, a lot of those came.
For those of you in the room, these order forms are last year's, so don't count on them for this year. But Tony needed one, so it'll be similar to this, but with updated products.
Yeah.
So Pack 700 gave us permission to use this. So the council initiatives or incentives are on the right hand side there. So at the $50 level and the 400, 750, that's all in your order form that you have there. They added one in there I thought was really neat, the $700. So if you earn 700 for Pack 700, you get to have your membership dues paid or whatever the case is. Really, it's a fancy way of that tier method, right? But it's kind of neat. Yeah. Summer camp fees paid at the $13.50. And then look at the 2,000 ice water shower for the popcorn kernel. Scout those 5 gallons of ice water on a popcorn kernel after the December pack meeting. So that's after the sales done. So I'm telling you that at the end of the sales stuff, it's a blast. The kids love it.
I did that last year, and luckily it was a warm night in December for it, but still pretty cold.
Yeah.
We did pie in the face, but also with one of the pies, we had a gift card. So the top selling kid got to pick his pie first, and we kind of went down the line. And unfortunately, the top selling guy actually got the gift card that time, but it was kind of fun. It just had a little bit of different, flair to it. All right, moving on.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about personal sales. What they are, and again, it's just fundamental ground level stuff. So going door to door. Like I said, I personally think it's best to have a product in hand when you do that. But again, prior to the sale, like she said in the back there, if you want to take those order forms and go prior, that's fine. Remember, keep the chocolate products cool. So if they're going door to door, pull a red wagon, have a cooler. They don't need to be dumped with ice, just a couple ice packs in there to keep it cold. And I will tell you, I think it was 3 years ago, just our season extended into November or early December. And I remember at the end of the season, we were at Lansdowne, one of those.
Old Navy.
Yeah, somewhere out there. But we were freezing. And in fact, I think I was telling you guys, when they were coming to relieve us, I said, bring hot chocolate. Like we're sitting there freezing. We got hats on. We're drinking hot cocoa. And I'm thinking back to in the beginning of the season when we were putting ice packs in coolers to keep the stuff I'm like, good God, we went to
It was a
three
long
seasons, you
sale.
know, like, that was a long sale, but it was
Yeah.
funny, it was funny, the comparison between the beginning and the end. Anyway, I want to get you guys out of here, and we all have stuff to do. You can take order forms to work, like I said, you got friends and neighbors that buy from you. All those, you know, no offense to the Girl Scout cookies, but if people are bombarding you with Girl Scout cookies, or knocking on their door and start hitting them up for popcorn sales.
That's what she said, they're
You got, local families, and then for online, the online store is a 30% commission like we discussed earlier. There's the website for it. And then the kernel, so as a kernel, you guys will establish your accounts for your kids. Okay, don't do it yet, because it's not gonna be up and running. But that's the PecatonicRiverPopcorn.com, that's where you're gonna go.
You have to do new ones each year.
You have to establish a new login and password every year. What I do with mine is I make it like, make it something simple, like popcorn.
Oh, no, not that. I meant like each kid, each scout.
No, it's gonna be there, the same, they'll have the same number.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
That's
You'll just have
huge.
to,
Sorry.
yeah, all you have to do is go back in and reestablish yourself
Okay,
as
that's,
that person. And look, if you wanna have multiple people have access to that account, that's fine, but you're only gonna be allowed one access. In other words, one login, one password. Okay, so don't,
The kids that cross over, you just make them inactive. You
right,
check off
okay, that's,
inactive.
that's.
then everybody
okay,
else
because
is
I
still
felt like
there.
last year I had to re-enter everybody, right? We had
Yeah,
to do that.
no,
Not
no.
necessarily last year. There was so many people, maybe we just had a huge turnover.
you might be talking about the prizes.
No,
Yeah,
for
there was
each
some-
scout, like you had to enter each
Yeah.
scout.
What you do now with the scouts.
Now
once
we
you
can
re-
just.
Yeah, they'll be in there, they'll be populated already.
Okay,
Make the ones that cross over who have quit inactive,
got it.
and then the ones that are staying on, you hit edit. And you just hit save again, it'll generate that code back out to them.
It's the same
It's
code.
the same code, but they
Okay,
won't
that's what I
have it,
meant.
you'll have
Okay.
to send it to them.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
The email addresses, all the
I
email
know
addresses will be
exactly
in
what you're
there.
talking about. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, yeah, so the scout has to have a point of contact email address, and no, you'll get a number automatically.
Yep.
You had a question in the back?
You might have said this, but I may have missed it. Is this something we can do like now while we have time and we're not actually selling? Or is there a date to go on to see our scouts online?
Yeah, so no, you won't be able to get in there right now.
Okay,
Yeah, they right before the season, they open it up.
okay.
Yeah. I remember trying last year and it couldn't get in. But make sure your parents know, it's probably something I should have put in with them. So the email address you have in your kid's account on Pecatonic's site, when they open up and they become active, they're gonna get an email from Pops. That's all it's gonna say, is Pops. And a lot of times, people, I get a lot of emails from a lot of people I don't know, and I just delete them. But make sure they understand that Pops is a real person, and to check their junk file or junk folder. And that's gonna give them instructions on what to do to set up their kids' account.
And make sure the email address is to the, the person that feeds them, that actually reads their email.
Yeah, so,
Make sure it's mom or dad, whichever one actually opens the message.
yes, absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah, so make sure you're getting to the parent that's involved, or, divorced parents, things like that. You want to make sure you're getting with the right person. Because you're only allowed one email address. And then you're going to include, so when you have it, we talked about a tracker, I think it's coming up here in a minute. You're going to include those sales. So those sales don't get tracked. You don't mess with it, right? You don't pay for them. You don't worry about it because all that's done for you. But you got to make sure you include that in your scout's total sales. Okay, when he goes up for the prizes. Look at that guy. Okay, so if you never done a show and sell, that's what it's all about. That was in front of Dick's Sporting Goods at Lynn Haven with my little
Oh, I like the
minions.
sign, so they have square and the.
And she's not here, but his wife did all the bling on that table, right? The popcorn box. That thing took a beating. It looked really cool. It was basically foam, the expandable foam insulation in a can. And she made, and it looked so cool by the end. Those kernels.
Toothpicks in to keep the kernels on.
Yeah, we were trying to put it back together, but it took a beat. But it was.
It looks edible.
Oh yeah, it looked like popcorn. It was really cool. We had the buddy sign up there with the lights, and we advertised the square at the time. I think it was pretty new, and then you got the case there. It was getting close to Christmas time, so.
One of our district colonels, Rudy, was playing music that was drawing people over, so I mean, just have fun with it.
We had our pack flag flying too. We had to stand there, and normally we have to put a couple microwave cases on top so it didn't blow over, but that big flag, if you've got a pack flag and that thing's blowing in the breeze, it just brings attention to the table.
I got a small popcorn costume that I throw my youngest and he'd be out there, or whatever sibling was out there.
We had a kid who used to say, 5 popcorn, so my mom has to go camping, and that was popular.
So, so you're showing sales, you sell in front of a business at an event, something in public, right? Another place to go is the farmer's market. You have to pay, but we went there a couple times. Sales weren't that great. I was expecting more, but also there was multiple units out there as well. So, so you're gonna go out and you're gonna talk to a store manager to set it up. Please keep a paper trail. The reason we say keep a paper trail of your booking is because if multiple people go out and talk to different managers, we want to make sure we get the person that got it first gets dibs. Okay, that makes sense. If your thing is dated, August 1st and theirs is dated August 15th, and you both show up at the same time because you talked to 2 different managers and they double booked you, the person that's got there earlier. That's how we resolve the conflict. Okay.
The key is talking to the person who keeps the store calendar. Whoever is the one that deals with fundraisers, that's the person. It can be the store manager, it could be the operations manager. If you speak to any random manager, chances are you're going to be double booked with somebody. So make sure you get the right person you're speaking to.
So the COVID restrictions are still there, but understand and follow their rules, right? So they're gonna typically tell you, we want you at the exit door. We don't want you talking to people going in. We want you to talk to people coming out. Whatever they want you to do, you gotta follow the rules. So schedule the visit and resolve conflicts professionally. So remember, we're all in uniform and we all represent scouts. So we don't want to, we don't want the vendor to have a bad impression of us. So if you do double book and you run into something, if you're talk to your district colonel, if you can't work things out amongst yourselves, and hopefully that doesn't happen, but it has happened. So just be prepared for it.
A suggestion from the chat is if you've got other units near you that you think might sell at that location, just talk to them about your schedule and maybe you can find those issues before they start. Or talk to your district colonel and tell them what your plan is for selling. And, they might have talked to another unit who they know is trying to sell at that location as well.
Okay. Like I said before, ask your parents for places that they might have connections that they can set you up for a show and sell. Cubs, again, work in pairs with 2 parents because they're going to have to go to the bathroom. Certain companies are restricted, like I said, Home Depot and Wawa. I think the council is going to try to see what we can do with Wawa. And break out the bling, make your table stand out, bring attention to yourselves. I will tell you that we I don't know that this was the reason it happened, but we went to Dick's and we I brought a can, I don't know if it was cheddar or caramel, whatever it was, and gave it to somebody in the store and said, hey, we just want to say thanks for letting us set up. And this was before when we first got there. And man, we got really good sales that day. So I don't know if they were telling customers, hey, go hook up the scouts or good popcorn, whatever the case is, but be inventive with it,
Always give a can or box of microwave popcorn or whatever to whatever store is selling. It's all part of relationship management. We like to give the microwave popcorn because that way they can put it in their staff room and people use it, but it's relationship management and it works. Take it out of donations, pay for it out of donations.
Definitely membership flyers, because we got 5 new families.
Yeah.
Just selling at the commissary.
Anytime
Yeah,
Bob
sure.
Mess trying to get
One
on
thing,
the
when they
flyers.
scan it and it took it, one had like our Pubmaster's info, the other one had like our Facebook page, the other one had took it to a link just for the sign in the PSA.
Council is planning on developing membership flyers that can be edited by the unit so that they can put in their own QR code as well. But it'll be a council provided. I don't know if it's going to be a half sheet or quarter sheet. Pam and Allison, we got to work through that. But we'll provide those that you can use, and again, edit it if you want to, or just use the council one.
I hear that it's scout work in pairs, but is there a rule that says only 2 scouts can work?
No, you can have more than 2. The bottom line with the Cubs is, like I said, they're gonna need to use the bathroom, right? And no, and the second reason, and so you can't leave the table unattended. The kid can't go in by himself. And then the other thing is they feed off each other, right? And they, when I say they build camaraderie, they work together. You know, at the troop level, we typically don't do that because the parent goes out and sits with their own kid for the hour or whatever. But for the Cubs, always recommend at least 2. And remember, if you're doing, you know, the more kids that are out there, the less the more they have to divide that sale. So, you know, I have twins, and in my den, when I was with the pack, I had another set of twins, and they all got along great. So we sold together, and I ended up realizing I'm screwing my kids because we're dividing our sales into 4, where other people selling all the popcorn. I don't want to mention any names, Caden, but you know.
Last year I found 3 is good. Where you get 4 or more, then it becomes problematic because now the kids want to play.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there could be I just think of like the baseball teams and stuff where they're out with posters, you know, come on over. And I was just wondering if there was more of like a larger group, if maybe anybody had success of getting like more traffic in because you've got a couple kids, not right in front of Kroger, but like in the parking lot of the Kroger saying, hey, Scout popcorn here, you know what I mean? Like driving in more traffic.
Yeah, so I don't know specifically. If anybody has any info online, feel free to provide that info.
We've
But
done about 3, sometimes 4, it depends, because usually, at least for us, we've always had like a family wants to take an hour. So a mom, like if a mom has more than, I have 3 kids, one's in the troop and 2 river clubs. And I'll take 2 of my kids at the same time. I don't want to go 2 weekends in a row. I can divide the contract out. So,
As long as you're following the youth protection
right.
and the guide to safe scouting, all of the adult supervision parts that you need to follow, there's no rule on how many kids can be there.
Yeah, it's just whatever works the best.
When I think too, like, you just have to take into consideration, like, what are the store requirements? Because a lot of the stores say, like, you have this area to sell, so if they don't want you, like, heckling their customers in the parking lot, which, I mean, we don't have heckling, but, like, it just depends on what they allow, I guess.
The one thing you want to make sure is that your scout realizes the time he's putting in is worth it. So as far as not having too many, so it's just not a lot. But also what I did was when I had multiple people, I had them take turns, and it'll be a little competition, you know. So it's all the way you want to do it, but you know, just make it when they come out of doing 2 hours and 90-degree heat, you don't want to say, wow, you made $25. You know, that's not going to go very well. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and we did that too with the twins. You know, they could take breaks and especially when it's hot out. All right. Where we at? So what we did was we had a notebook, and you can, again, this is just my personal thing. We kept a notebook with several order forms. So what I did was I tore the order form off and we stuck it in the transparency folders. For the transparent folders to people, and we can hand them out to people and they can look at them. Have multiple of those because if you have multiple people come to your table, you want to be able to have different people looking at it. And then we had envelopes for each one of the shifts for the money, and you know, just folders inside of this notebook. And then you might have instructions for how to operate your credit card app or your credit card device. And have some petty cash. I like 100 because it's just an easy number to count. That month, sometimes you know, in the middle of the day, that those. You know, I got 95 singles and I'm sorry, I have 5 ones and the rest 5s. And by the middle of the day, I got a bunch of 20s and 10s in there, right? So, you know, $100 to me is a good number to have. And then if you're for the people that are at the show and sell, track inventory throughout the sale. What's going to happen this is for those that haven't done it, or for those that have, you're probably going to concur that it can get hectic. Right, well, you got so many people and you're just handing out popcorn and taking money, and then you didn't write anything down because you just got into the mode. Then you're like, oh crap, what did I just give? And you know, so it gets kind of crazy. So periodically, when you have a break at the show and sell, this is something you can put out to parents. Just go back and count your stuff. You know, make sure you're tracking with your inventory. Go back one more time, Pam, for real quick. I wanted that. Oh, and then so that that last part there, scout sales can get lost if cash credit sales not documented correctly. Hold that thought and go to the next one. So I like to keep track of cash sales and credit sales. Okay. What happened last year was, if I want to do this right. So we had, let's say, one of the kids he had a credit sale, but he documented it as a cash sale. Okay, so how does that factor in? So let's say, I'm gonna write this real quick and you guys online just have to listen. You got cash and you got credit. And let's just say that,
Can you guys read that?
No.
Sorry. Use another
I don't
one.
have very good- I should
Here's,
have been a
no,
doctor.
get the blue one, the big fat
Oh, is
one.
it too?
Yeah, it's just
too thin.
rewind.
Mrs. Drucker, something.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
did that.
So, and then you have donations down here, right? So, what we did was, we always keep your cash, your sales and your donations separate. Okay. So we sold, let's say we sell $100 in popcorn, but we sell 80 cash and we sell 20 credit. Okay, and we document it that way. So let's say we screw that up and we make it $100 in cash. And let's say we had $20 in donations, right? So let me get this right before. So what happened was we thought we counted our cash, but we came up with $80 in cash. But the kid documented it as 5 sales, so he had 100. There's I must have put, so now if he did it this way, he's got 80. The real sale was 80, 20, and 20. So he made $120. Okay. But what happened was he said, oh, I must have put the $20 into my donation box. So he pulls the $20 out because and then now he only sells $100. So he literally lost $20 in sales, in credit. Okay. I mean, he lost the credit, in other words, towards his prize. Right, the sale was there, everything was fine, and we sold the popcorn, but because he didn't we're confused, and I don't mean to confuse anybody, right? But what happened was he didn't document the credit in credit. He documented it as a cash sale. So he thinks he sold $100 in cash, but in reality, he sold $80 in cash and $20 in credit. When he couldn't find the missing 20 because he thinks he had 100, he only had 80. He said, I must have put it in donations. So he pulled it out of donations, right? That wasn't exactly that way, but that was the whole principle of it. So just make sure that and this is important for your parents, because look, at the troop level, we want the boys to be leaders, right? We want the boys to do things. And I'll tell you, you can do that to a certain extent, but you gotta supervise them. Last year, I had a kid who sold on paper, he sold chocolate lover, and when he comes back, I sold the chocolate lover, and he's coming back to my house, he's unloading the car, and he gives me a chocolate lover, and I only gave him one. I'm like, what do you mean you sold the chocolate lover? It's right here. Oh, where's the trio? Oh, so whoever bought the chocolate got a trio. And I said, man, that's not a happy camper right there, because if you're expecting a whole bunch of chocolate and you get plain cheddar and caramel, oh man, I would be hot. Right. So, but the problem is the parent let the kid just do things, and you can do that to a certain extent, but please supervise your kids. Okay, make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Would that problem have been taken care of if they did a good inventory count?
No, it wouldn't, because I caught it when I did my end of night bouncing my credit sales against my inventory, and I found it. That's how I found it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I would have never thought that happened. Look, you try to keep your inventory as accurate as possible, but somehow at the end of the season, the numbers that Allison has and the numbers that I have never add up. So somewhere I screwed something up, right? And look, when you start to deal with $10,000 and $15,000 worth of stuff, you're going to lose something somewhere. But just try to keep it as accurate as you can. Yeah.
I just want to apologize. I have to go to a swim test for
Okay.
8:15, so I have to leave now.
Okay, no worries. I'm almost done anyway. And by the way, before I forget, so you guys saw Caden in the back there. He was selling his candy. We did that sort of for a reason, right? Caden was our top seller in the council last year. And so I wanted him to come out and talk to you guys and really kind of tap him for information on what did he do How did he become so successful? Of course, I wanted mom and dad as well. I think mom's online. I don't know, but dad's here and he's good enough.
Good enough. I am that, good enough.
All right.
There is a Conway online, but I,
So Caden,
I don't know.
what'd you do? Why did you have such a great year last year?
So how I saw it when how I sold so much popcorn is that I asked people politely if they wanted to buy any popcorn and they said yes. But some people, even though that some people didn't like want to buy any, it was okay. So, but at least I got some people than nobody, right?
And how many sales did you get by being polite, even though they didn't want to sell or buy any?
Enough sales to make me get to 10 grand.
Wow.
You sold $10,000 in popcorn. How many cans is that? I don't know.
A living room full. So, Caden, did you do anything to motivate parents to, like, if they didn't want to? Like, what do you have, like, a technique? Would you use anything?
How do you sell, money?
So how I sold was like I tried to sell as much popcorn as I could.
Yeah, but how do you?
And I asked people politely and try to get them to like I
Okay, just being polite.
Politeness and bulk.
said. Yes.
Did you sell mostly door to door or show and sells?
So it was sort of like both. It was like mostly show sells.
Did you dress in that outfit
Yes.
with the neckerchief too? Oh, wow.
Caden, was there anything, so when you first started selling popcorn, you didn't know anything about it, right? Now you're a, if you use the word again, you're a seasoned popcorn seller. Is there anything that you learned or that you wish you knew in the beginning that you know now?
No. I just but I learned what worked for me, and then that's how I became pretty good at popcorn.
Good.
When did you start selling?
When I was around like a tiger.
Okay, what about during the popcorn season, in August or September?
August.
Yeah, that was a lesson learned for me, you know, start selling early.
Yeah, hit them early.
Anything else you want to add, Caden? That's not the
My
same.
favorite thing about selling popcorn is that I used to be the top seller in my class.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And every year his sales will increase.
His motivation was his first year when we joined the pack. He saw all these people getting prizes and stuff, and we just joined, so he wasn't getting anything. He's like, "Where's my stuff?" I think that lit a fire in him I wanna get stuff, and I wanna be number one, and that's what motivated him for years and years to come.
So what did you won last year? So sadly, I got 4th place when I was a tiger. That was a little
Last year, what'd you get last year? when you sold it?
I got 3rd place.
No, what did you get for your prize?
What were your prizes?
So I'm pretty sure what I got for my prizes was like a bow and arrow.
What about your winner circle prize? You got 4 of
big
those.
stuff.
What 4 big prizes did you get?
I got a 40-inch TV.
Wow.
I got 2 Amazon gift cards, and I got an Nintendo Switch Lite.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and Dad, anything you want to add, like what from the parents' perspective?
I mean, you gotta be with them, get out there and sell, like, a lot, I mean, sometimes we only go for like an hour or 2, and we were the only family out there selling, so we have a pretty small pack. We didn't have, not everybody was involved in the selling, so you're gonna have a lot of that, but we, just any chance we could to get a sale out there, we take it a couple hours, 2-3 hours here, Friday night, 2-3 hours or something like that, or 2-3 hours Saturday afternoon. We take any opportunity we could.
So, the parents can be out there, it's sales. And, I'm not a fan of salesmen and nothing personal with any salesman out there, but, we're trying to raise money, for a good cause. And people understand what you're trying to do, not like you're trying to sell them something that they don't want.
Yay, Dave, good job.
Good job, Dave. Parents can be involved too, right? Parents can be theatrical, whatever you want to do to make it, be lively. If you're just sitting on your butt, but you can get more sales if you're participating as well.
People will ask your child why they're selling. Have them know why they're selling. If they want to go to a high adventure camp, or if they want to go ahead and get the winter circle and get a TV, or just pay for the program, let them, because the customers want to know why they're donating to your child, because they don't need that popcorn. They could go into the store and buy it for $3 probably at Kroger. They're investing in your kid. So give them something to kind of bring back with them.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the things that when I talked about teaching your kids what to say to customers, that's one of the things too. The customer's going to ask, what are you doing with this money?
Mhm.
And if the kids just give it, that they have a good answer, it's just another way for that customer to actually buy.
They also want to know what your recommendation is. A lot of people ask, what's your favorite flavor?
product?
Yeah,
That was the high selling.
that was the other thing I was gonna say, thanks for reminding me. So when you do that, the reason you do that tasting test, that taste test, so that the kids know what the popcorn tastes like. Now, a lot of times I've seen where the customer will say, hey, what's your favorite flavor? And the kid will tell them, and then they'll buy a can of popcorn and hand it to the kids, and here you go. Right, they buy it for the kids. So, it's kinda cool.
And that's a good thing to have the kids know that they need to mix too.
What was that?
They need to mix too. I like the classic
Oh, yeah.
popcorn and mix it with the sea salt splash. So buy two.
Well, I really like the chocolate lovers, that's the. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, to get back to the show and sell tracker, and I think we're almost done here. This was made by a guy who was in the restaurant business, and he was one of the dads, great guy. Name is Michael Scott, actually, but no relation to the office. But it's got a bunch of checks and balances, and it's your starting inventory in the first column. The previous shift's inventory in the first column. So you're basically checking the guy before you. What did the guy say he had at the end? You write those numbers in the first column. The second column is you counting and making verifying it. And then the next one is for anything added during the sale. In other words, if you're running out of classic caramel and you got to put a +8 in there and you add 8 more. And then your cash sales, credit sales, then your expected inventory, which is basically subtracting your starting with what you think you sold. And then you do an actual count in the next column, and then you count. So there's a lot of checks and balances in this form, but it's something that you want to do because, like I said, at the end of the day, you're as a colonel, you should be getting all this information together and counting the money. And
The other thing that we've done is we usually overlap by 10 minutes. Because people are constantly late to show themselves, or they're just on time and people have somewhere else to go. So we try to overlap them by 10 or 15 minutes so that you have two groups. One's leaving, they're finishing up their sales, and the other one's coming on. That's the way it's worked for us.
we ended up getting late for show, so we'll leave somebody, and as we're pulling up there, they're selling the big 3, and I'm like, oh, man, we should have had that sale. But
That, I will say that's a good, when you're selling and the shifts are going, don't wait till the end of the day to count up the stuff, because then the earlier you catch it, you know, like where the money's missing, and it's easier to track back to what it is.
Should be done at shift change.
every
Yeah,
shift,
so
so,
each-
right, so every shift is responsible for their inventory, right? They should always, you should have some, whether it's, I mean, I have that available if anybody wants to use it. There are plenty others out there, but you gotta have a way to inventory at the beginning and inventory at the end. Right? And every shift should just be held accountable for their inventory.
And if a kid leaves after an hour, you do a tracker.
Yeah, yep.
Every time there's a change in scouts, selling, you do a tracker.
Yeah, you want a minimum, yeah, so basically if you have 2 there and 1 leaves, then you're kind of, you get them, if another one comes in, you're gonna be all messed up, but yeah, try to minimize it. The whole group leaves and then another group comes in.
Ready to make that?
Yep, go. And then this is just a copy of my personal tracker, and this is obviously not, this is all the cherry cheesecakes on it. But the way this thing is set up, and I wish it had a,
It has a micro light too.
yeah, so I wish I had a laser. Anybody got a laser on? So basically, this is an Excel doc, and all I do when I issue out to the people, to the parent, is I just put the number in there, and everything's formulated, right? And then when they pay me,
Take a,
is it a laser?
yeah, it is. Let me find it.
Anyway, when they pay me, I put the number over here. So I always document the date and how they pay me, right? When I put it here, that gives credit, right? They don't get credit. So all I have to do is come in here and look, and I see that they owe $440, and I see what they paid, right? And I know what they owe. And then the same thing for the show and sell sales, or the date and how much they have. And I always keep the donations, because donations used to not count for credit or for prizes. They do now. I always keep donations separate, and then your online sales as well. So I keep that for every scout. And when as a colonel, so you set up your account or your scout's account on the Tecatonica site, you'll get the email from Pops, the parent, the email that's related to the kid will go to the parent. They'll get an email from Pops, and every time they sell online, you will get an email saying this person sold this product for $35. Then you document that on your track. Look, you can delegate that to the parents if you want to, but I like taking care of my kids, right? I want to make sure that they're going to get the prizes that they earned, and if parents, if they're not going to, I'm not saying they're not going to do it, but I do it just because that's the way I am. Okay, so I keep track of all that stuff. And all these numbers are linked, so these three totals are all linked to here. And then this is for one kid. Then I got all my tabs, all my kids, and then I got a cover sheet that shows all the sales of, and then all that stuff gets automatically uploaded. It's all linked. Okay, so it's whether you do it at Google Doc or Excel or whatever, if you have something in place that you use, use it, but minimize the amount of work. So once you make the document, you can just copy and paste it, and you're done making it. Right? It all links in.
Tony, question from the chat. Once you update this to remove cherry cheesecake, would you mind sharing your tracker that we could email out to people who might want to use your format?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have a question on the donation.
Yeah.
So if I have a show and tell and somebody comes up and says, I want to do a donation, do we just take that money and document it? Do we pull an item off? Because you said something like we send it off, or how is that?
So first of all, keep donations and keep your sales separate. Okay? Always have an envelope for your sales. Like I said, I keep a notebook and I just put this money in there. Donations used to not count towards prizes. So, but you have to document your military donations on a form that Allison's going to have for you guys. And it's just like a popcorn sale. You get 40%, council gets 60%. At the end of the season, that stuff goes to the military, okay, the USO, the physical product.
You don't have to keep track of that.
But it doesn't come out of our
It does not
inventory.
come out of your inventory.
Okay.
You just write down how much donations you get, because you could get somebody that gives you $2. That's not gonna buy a can of popcorn.
Okay.
Right. So what we used to do when it didn't count towards prizes, so the kid would get credit for a sale. And you get some guys that give you $20, and I'm like forced a can of popcorn on. I'm like, come on, man, take this, try it, this way it counts for the kid. Now that it doesn't count for the kid, I still try to do that, especially when they give you a lot of money. But
So when you turn in that 60% of the donation to the council, we combine all of that from every unit. Last year, we had just under 60,000 in military donations council-wide. And we took all the popcorn we had left and we gave it to the local USO. So it doesn't matter what product it is. We take all that stuff that was returned to us and then we give it to the military.
okay, and then, like I said, you're gonna have to document that, and you have to pay the bill on that too. Okay, so if you get $20, 60% of that is what? How many? I'm
12. 12.
12, whatever. Okay, so I'm under pressure. Should have given up with a good number, like 60. All right, so these are all your district kernels. Again, if you're in Albemarle, Brendan Johnson, Three Rivers is Beth and Rudy. I'm for Princess Anne, and Bayside is Aaron and Liz.
So take a picture of that with your phone. That way, if you got any questions, you can hit them up before you go into the training in July.
Yeah, so if you have any problems with popcorn, these are the people you come to first. Pam is the popcorn queen. Pam's been doing, when I didn't know anything about popcorn, Pam was the popcorn man. All right, I remember the first time I met Pam, like, oh, you're Pam, and her name was synonymous with popcorn. So, but everybody knows Pam, but come to the district colonel so that Pam's not being overworked. Not that she does any work. but-
Whatever.
And use the Facebook page. You can get a lot of your answers there.
Yeah, utilize Facebook too, right? And if you have any questions, feel free to put it on Facebook. I know there's a, there's a bunch of different scouting, groups on Facebook, and I always see different things about what people do. You can put it out there on the Tidewater Council one too. Hey, has anybody done this or that?
At the end of all the popcorn sales for your season, you're not gonna, like, you're either gonna have run out of popcorn, or you're gonna have too much popcorn. And if you have too much popcorn and you can't, and I'm just kind of wondering, I know we order heavy at the beginning. And then, because that's the prime time, you'll have a month, about 30 days to try to sell it after the prime stuff, but just don't wanna wind up ordering too much or too little, but it's somewhere in there, I'm probably gonna order too much or too little.
Right,
The
so
Facebook page, if you put on the Facebook page, hey, I have 3 boxes of whatever, I won't guarantee it, but I'll give you an 80% chance that in less than 24 hours, someone else on that Facebook page is gonna be asking. Yeah, I mean, because last year I was at the end and my sheet got screwed up and I promised some friends some popcorn, and so I went on the page and I did a deal. I drive out, clear out to Chesapeake, but I got the 3 cans I needed to close out. So I mean, there's always people that's looking for a certain type of, now, I mean, occasionally, but yeah, I would say most likely you'll be able to bring that on.
Can I say something real quick?
To lean towards ordering too much.
Especially the simple stuff that you can sell. I mean, the cheddar cheese and what would you say the other one, and the classic caramel corn. I mean, the classic caramel corn is $10, and anyone who doesn't want popcorn, wants to support you, they'll buy it. And that's, like Mike said, it's just I don't think you can order too much of those. You think, Mike?
No, Tony, but yes, the caramel for sure. Classic caramel cheddar for us. That's the thing, right? So cheddar for us didn't sell well, but a lot of people it did. So
Jalapeno for us. Jalapeno is like big seller.
Every year is gonna have their own thing.
So we don't order a lot of double butter because it's 30. It's a huge box. It's just.
Everybody was asking for it.
yes. So that's the thing, right?
Maybe we should have, but that was the problem. It's just so much.
Order up front and then you can't get it the next time, because you have an abundance, then you skip one, because I think I skipped one. I ordered up front, skipped one, because we weren't selling until September.
Right.
Because we're clubs, and we wait until we had enough people to do these things. In my house, I'm giving to my friend over here. He's gonna have a popcorn,
So
because
this
I've
will be
turned
the
mine
first-
into something else.
This will be the first year our package sold popcorn, I guess, for history, so I have 0 idea how to estimate how much popcorn to order on the first.
Okay, so first thing I would do is figure out how many kids you have, and talk to your parents and let them know what the plan is. Like you may want to start that now. Hey, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get some guidance, but I want to know, and you gotta sell it. Like they gotta be sold on selling.
Right.
They gotta understand why they're selling popcorn. Because look, there's people out there, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was one of them. Like I don't want my kids selling for the man, right? But there's benefits to it more than just intake of money, right? Look, I can. Some of us can afford to just pay for whatever our kid's gonna do in scouting. Others can't. Okay, so those are the parents that really want to sell. But they have to understand that the benefits, other than the money, like the camaraderie and especially at the pack level, and the different skills that they learn. So there's more benefits than just getting money. So talk to the parents about that first, kind of get them on board with selling, and then let them know about taking order forms for work and different ways that they can sell. Okay, I would start that now and then just get the seed planted first.
What
He's
unit are
your
you?
district colonel. So, once you get all that information, maybe he can get up with you.
Yeah, and look, and the other thing too, for those who are in Princeton, hey, it doesn't matter what district, I don't want to step on any district colonel's toes. But I will come, I've done it last season. I went to meetings and talked to the kids about popcorn, especially to the girl troops that were just starting. And so I had no problem coming out and talking to your parents, talking to your kids, just to kind of, get them motivated.
We are gonna talk in more detail about return policies at the other trainings. But there is a 10% limit on returns. So if you need help figuring out what your order is because of that or for any other reason, definitely reach out to any one of those people. They're all really experienced, both as a district kernel, they were all working on this last year, and they also all have experience on a unit level. So they know all the challenges you're going through and can help you figure that out. You don't have to talk to this.
Huh?
You said you had something, is that what you were gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, as far as the managing the popcorn, yeah, come to the other trainings, we can talk more in depth about that. Returns do count against you towards that 10% throughout the whole sale. The goal is to just kind of keep your inventory, trade off, and then at the very end, you have under 10% of your retail. That's the goal, okay? So, but like I said, the district kernels, they're great, reach out to them. Communication's really key. If we know you're got a sale coming up and, you know, you need help strategizing, these are your guys to go to. They've been there, done that, so.
Are we gonna have units that, like the online, the high online sales, we gonna have those speakers at the training?
We can, I haven't gotten that far yet, yeah. So,
I believe that is all we have, right? The next slide is.
Yeah, the only other thing I have is some weird chat message saying Tony's the best and everyone should pick his corny brain.
Yes. So in conclusion, so remember, your sales are required, how much you want to sell is based off the working budget. Okay, there's a budget form, that link. Like I said earlier, help unload the shipment if you can. Get your kickoff party started. Again, I can't stress it enough to start early. That is a lesson learned for me that is still on the form that I continually work on every year. And just manage your inventory. It can be difficult for the new guys, so just be patient with it. If you need, just come talk to me if you need me. And diversify your selling strategy. Some units just to sell online and they make a lot of money. But you got online sales, you got personal sales, you got the show and sells, and just communicate. Okay? And get those tools. Facebook, and start early. I can tell you two things. Facebook, start early. Those are the two things I would tell you.
get on it tonight, sign up for it tonight, because all the training and information is going to be coming out shortly, okay? So you want to stay on top of that.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
43.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out. I know it wasn't raining when I came here, but for those that traveled in the bad weather, be careful going home. Does anybody have no other questions? Okay, anybody online? Appreciate you guys taking time to do this. Thank you to all the non-kernels out there, the committee chairs and the treasurers and stuff. I really appreciate you guys being out here.
Yeah.
Five on Yelp.
Yeah, I don't have a,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the work.